In 1994, Jeff Bezos started a company called Relentless out of his parents' life savings of $250,000. He began Relentless in his garage, but his friends told him that the name Relentless sounded too evil, so he changed it to Amazon.
Washington, D.C. filed an antitrust case against Amazon's.
We work like a dog there,
claiming Amazon has violated antitrust laws.
What do you think of when you hear the name Amazon? A technology company? Or maybe an e-commerce company? Well, my friend, Amazon is way bigger than that. You might have heard of Amazon, the everything store. Well, let me tell you that when it comes to Amazon, everything is also just an understatement. In this episode, we will deep dive into what business Amazon is in, and why it's a bit dark, evil, and scary when we understand the impact it has on ordinary people lives like you and me. In 1994, Amazon got its humble start by selling books. Yet nobody could have anticipated that this business would someday pose the biggest danger to humankind. Under the hood, Amazon is doing a lot of things that will make it almost impossible to live without Amazon in the future. As every coin has two sides, Amazon also has a side that no one knows about. The empire that Jeff Bezos is creating will soon have a significant influence over our lives, and this might be too risky for people like you and me. Let's turn back the pages of history and see the way of how Amazon grew. As Rick Warren says, those who innovate the future understand history the best. So, after a humble beginning in the year 1994, Amazon went public in the year 1997, and everything went well up until the year 2001 when the dot-com bubble suddenly burst. In a span of just one night, the shares of Amazon fell from $100 to just $6. Though the name changed to Amazon, it managed to be relentless after this huge setback in 2001. As a result of this crash, Amazon realized that they required a robust technological infrastructure. To accomplish this, both Benjamin Black and Crispin Income present a written proposal to Jeff Bezos. This planned proposal was adopted and implemented on March 3, 2006, and AWS, or Amazon Web Services, was launched. Nobody anticipated that AWS would grow to be so powerful that it would dominate the internet at this point of time. Interestingly, this is just the beginning. If you take a step back and look at the numbers, you would realize that 50.4% of Amazon's revenue comes from its online or the e-commerce store, which we all know. Now, AWS, on the other hand, only gets 12.5% of the revenue. But do you know what? AWS is the business that makes Amazon the most amount of money when it comes to profitability. This small device, Alexa, is one thing that sets Amazon apart from every other company and ensures that Amazon never loses its competitive edge. You cannot even imagine or conceive the power of this small device and the capacity it has to disrupt technology. Now, I'm sure you would be wondering, how is this even possible? Well, to understand this, you need to know that there are three things to recognize and realize the entire context. These three things make up Amazon's entire ecosystem. First is how AWS operates. The second element which we need to understand is Alexa's network. And number three is the integrated network. To make it easy to understand how AWS operates, let us take an example from a computer. So if you plan to use a computer, you have two of the most widely used options like Windows or Mac. We do have other options like Linux, but let's keep that aside for the time being. So if you have either of these operating systems, you can run different apps, applications, or softwares on these computers. Hence, your operating system's prime job is to make the rest of your computer's resources work cohesively, which increases the overall utility value of the computer you use. Now let us take a look at AWS. AWS, or Amazon Web Services, provides on-demand cloud computing platforms and APIs to individuals, computers, and governments. Now, any company or individual that uses AWS is able to get unlimited storage and computing power, which certainly is a unique selling proposition for Amazon Web Services. Netflix and Hulu, for example, utilizes AWS cloud servers, and all of their data is stored on AWS servers, from which you receive recommendations for movies and television shows. Now, you get this information from AWS machine learning. Slack, a business messaging app, also makes use of the AWS server for the purpose of integrating audio and video calls with the help of AWS machine learning. And here's where things get interesting. Since Slack is a business messaging app, its users are unsurprisingly businesses. Therefore, all of these companies' phones and video calls are routed through AWS servers. Well, it's certainly debatable, but Amazon has access to all of this business. So in a way, Amazon is aware of what each company is intending to do and when. And you're probably wondering why these businesses uses AWS cloud servers if they are aware that Amazon has access to all the information they have. Well, the one word answer is leverage, or operational leverage as a matter of fact. AWS provides cloud services so a company can use AWS storage to accommodate its needs at any time. Whether it wants to expand or contract, it is anyhow on a pay-as-you-go basis. Without AWS, it would have to do this independently and incur significant infrastructure costs to increase storage space. And if they put money into a business that doesn't work and they want to cut back on storage, they can't sell that infrastructure either. With such a high value to leverage ratio, 1/3 of all the websites on the web today rely solely on AWS or the Amazon Web Services. This number is more than 10 million websites, which is so huge. Because of this, when AWS recently had a service disruption, millions of websites faced the outrage as they were hosted on the AWS servers. Now, Amazon is massive and complex. There are many factors and elements within the company which show it as a futuristic company. By reading the book, The Everything Store, you will gain insights into the many factors and elements that have contributed to Amazon's rise to the status of a $1 trillion company. Amazon has a really high chunk of the cloud market share and controls a lot when it comes to the web infrastructure. Yet the key question is, how do you and I as consumers get affected by this, and why should we be concerned about the future? This question brings us to the second point of the Amazon ecosystem, which is the Alexa network. Now, if you take a step back and look at this closely, then you would realize that Alexa devices are set at prices which barely cover their manufacturing cost. In fact, during Prime days and offers, Amazon sells it for less than the manufacturing cost, and most of the year it's sold at a break-even cost, which is at no profit and no loss. The curious question is, why does Amazon do that? To answer this specific question, let us look at the Alexa device and what is it made up of. The Alexa devices are not so advanced that they can understand and carry out any command made to them. So how do they follow every command that you give them? The Alexa device consists of a speaker, a 900 MHz transmitter, a receiver, and a microphone. So when you give a command to your Alexa, it is picked up by the receiver, sent by the transmitter to the AWS server, and finally executed by the speaker. But whatever command you give to Alexa, that information is stored on the AWS web server, which is then subsequently used to make a profile of the customer. In this case, it would be you and me. By the type of commands that you give, by your behavior and by your patterns, Amazon is aware of your preferred genre of music, TV shows, and movies, as well as your needs, wants, and desires. However, the most intriguing fact which few people are aware of is that this 900 MHz transmitter and receiver function even without the internet. So similarly, if multiple Alexa devices are placed within 500 meters of one another, they will form a network known as the sidewalk network. Furthermore, this sidewalk network is so robust that if Alexa devices is connected to the internet, the data of all the Alexa devices within the sidewalk network will reach the AWS server. When millions of Alexa devices are connected in a span of a few years, Amazon will know a great deal about you, including where you live, what you do, what you like, and what you dislike, irrespective of whether the Alexa device is connected to the internet or not. Now, do you understand how dangerous this might be? Because consciously and subconsciously, you and I as human beings are leveraged based on the behavioral data. That is one of the prime reasons you will see Amazon pushing their Prime membership. Amazon strives daily to add more and more benefits to its Prime membership, because from a company standpoint, becoming an Amazon Prime member is the best way to a customer to enter the Amazon ecosystem. If you again take a step back and look at it, you will realize that Amazon pushes the Prime membership in a couple of ways. Mostly, for instance, if you shop on Amazon and choose 3 or 4 items, the total comes to, let's say, $100 or $200. Now, Amazon will charge between $5 to $10 for its delivery, or they will ask you to join the Prime membership at $7 per month instead. Now, considering the cost savings and the accessibility of Prime content like videos and music, a Prime membership could be a better option to choose from. When you plan to shop next time, consciously or subconsciously, you will choose Amazon as you have a preconceived notion that delivery is free and your overall basket size surges to drastic levels before you even realize it. You will also notice that the most popular shows on Amazon Prime videos like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or Goliath and many more Amazon Prime originals are released around holidays or right before the sales season. Why? Because when a new season or a show starts, you will likely to buy a Prime membership. These Amazon originals let you into Amazon's world. Also, people have bought Amazon Prime are likely to buy Amazon Alexa devices as well down the line. After that, the real game begins, which leads to the third and the most important point of the Amazon ecosystem, which is integrated network. There are many of us who are under the impression that Amazon is eliminating all of its rivals. Why? Because Amazon Prime Video competes with Netflix, Amazon Prime Music competes with Spotify, and Amazon Prime Air competes with FedEx and UPS. But if you take a closer look, you will realize that Amazon has plans that are much bigger and larger than anyone's imagination. To figure this out, we need to look closely at Amazon's subsidiaries. Amazon has a company called A9, which has an algorithm that powers the Amazon search engine and determines which products to rank in the search results. A9 is also responsible for researching and building innovative technology. By using similar technologies, Amazon is integrating 4 major platforms and websites, which includes Audible, an audiobook and podcast service. The second is Brilliance Audio. It's another subsidiary of Amazon which backs up authors and storytellers. The third is Comixology, a cloud-based digital distribution platform for comics with over 200 million comics downloaded. And the fourth is CreateSpace, which is an independent on-demand publishing where creators can publish. Amazon is putting all of these 4 things together in one place by integrating them together. This is my personal guesswork, but imagine audiobooks turning into live comics by independent creators and it will surge their value to a whole different level. Amazon also owns the biggest live streaming network in the world, which is Twitch. A while ago, Amazon also entered into the security space when it bought a company called Ring. Ring is a company that manufactures home security devices that are compatible with Alexa and reports suspicious activity to the appropriate authorities and law enforcement. Amazon is also acquiring iRobot vacuum cleaners, which would use Alexa and send all your data to the AWS servers. Therefore, Amazon is essentially aware of the size of your residence and where you keep your belongings. Amazon will again use this information to create a more robust and detailed profile of you. Moving on, Zoox Inc. is another subsidiary of Amazon which is developing autonomous symmetrical vehicles and self-driving cars, and once you begin using these cars, then all that information will be again saved on the AWS server. So by putting all of these data points together, they could make a better and more robust customer profile. In addition to all of this, Amazon also owns Whole Foods, where customers can use Amazon Pay to make purchases. By combining these different sets of information, Amazon will be able to predict what you are likely to buy based on your behavior and patterns as well as your likes and dislikes. Amazon Music, Amazon Kindle, Amazon Pantry, Amazon Stores, Amazon Pay and Amazon Prime Video and many others which I just mentioned. When all of this information plus the 30% of websites that run on Amazon's web server is combined and integrated, then Amazon will know things about you that your girlfriend or boyfriend or even your spouse doesn't know. Well, that's the irony of the digital virtual world, that Jeff Bezos knows more about you than your family. But if you take a step back and look at this entire scenario closely, you will wonder how come Amazon as a company is able to penetrate into different industries and enter into new businesses. And the answer to that question is brand elasticity. For instance, if you think about Coca-Cola opening a product store or Microsoft starting a security company, will it be easy for the customers to accept that? Not really. But we have no objections if Amazon does so. In fact, Amazon is already doing this by having so many subsidiaries in different industries. We can also see it to a certain extent through its own platform, Amazon Basics. To comprehend this, we must understand the 3 steps a seller must take to close a sale. Number 1, the cost to start. The seller spends a lot of money to get his product out in the market. Number 2 is expansion. Having established its footing in the market, the company will now need additional funding in order to expand or market itself. And lastly, it is profitability. The third-party sellers on Amazon spend most of their money on the marketing and growth, which is nothing but step 1 and step 2, which is introduction and expansion into the market before they reach the third stage where they are able to first break even and then make some money as a profit. But Amazon, which owns the platform Amazon.com, just bypasses the first and second stage and doesn't have to do any of these things. They work directly from stage 3, which is profitability. A lot of successful sellers experienced that when their products were selling really well on Amazon, Amazon started selling the same products as Amazon Basics. So Amazon started a model where it started copying successful sellers and found out their manufacturers or alternate manufacturers got the product in bulk and put it out for the consumers under the brand Amazon Basics. Also placing it at the top of the page so that they have a lot of eyeballs and visibility, which eventually increase sales and more profitability for Amazon. This essentially entails selling at a much lower price than the competition, considering they bought in bulk and dominating the market. In one of my previous videos, which I will link at the end or below in this description, I spoke about the antitrust laws and Federal Trust Commission's case on Google, Apple, Microsoft, and especially Facebook. So why can't it be applicable to Amazon when we all are aware that it's creating such a huge disadvantage for every consumer? Now, this is a common business practice for Amazon. In fact, they pay far too little tax. To this day, the company has seen no action at all.
Amazon reported $10 billion in profits and paid zero in taxes.
If you see the antitrust laws and FTC's case on Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook, they were based on the notion that they grew up to be monopolies. Before 1980, the Chicago schools regulations were founded on the principle which argued against the concentration of markets and the establishment of monopolies. It was a common practice at that time for businesses to combine forces in order to create larger, more concentrated markets, either through vertical or horizontal integration, which was primarily done in order to make the most amount of money possible. But after 1980, there were a lot of changes made to the rules. The Chicago School Revolution, whose sole intention was to ensure the utmost contentment for customers, gave rise eventually to the antitrust paradox, whose objective was to ensure that customers are protected and satisfied to the greatest possible extent. Antitrust enforcement eventually shifted its attention from the industry's underlying structure to its pricing practices. If you look closely, you will notice that Amazon has a reputation for offering its customers the best deals and prices possible. This puts Amazon in a position to claim that they are always looking out for their customers' best interests. Amazon would be like, since my prices are so reasonable, none of my clients have experienced any problems. Therefore, technically, Amazon is not in violation of the anti-monopolies laws. So this becomes the reason Amazon is not hit by any antitrust laws or the FTC, as a matter of fact. Additionally, not many people are aware that Jeff Bezos has given millions in donations to media powerhouses like CNN and CNBC. Lastly, Amazon now owns the Washington Post as well. In a way, Amazon also has a huge control over the global media. The media simply omits information that could damage Amazon's credibility and reputation. Media outlets reported that Jeff Bezos had been caught cheating to his wife, but that didn't stop him from getting away because he has immense influence and power. Now the question is, if Amazon is so dangerous and evil, why do we continue to buy from it? Now, as every coin has two sides, similarly, if you see Amazon from a business owner or a blue-collar employee's perspective, then it is bad to a certain extent. A lot of small businesses are being eliminated and closed because of Amazon. Blue-collar employees who work in the warehouses are watched by cameras and have difficulty using the restrooms because of the immense pressure they have. But if we leave the privacy part, which anyhow will be eliminated in the near future, and also the traceability of our data sets and the way our behaviors and patterns are captured to push products to us, then Amazon does make our lives easier. I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but Amazon as a business has made our lives easier. This pursuit of capturing data is done by any other technology giant, be it Google, Apple, Facebook, or Spotify. So we should be fine when Amazon does that, as it is adding value in other ways such as one-day delivery, Amazon Music or Prime, and many more services which it has to offer through its subsidiaries. Well, my dear friends, business is war and everything is fair in love and war. I think that's what Amazon is doing. It's adapting to this ever-changing world and needs of digital and virtual economy. I'm just curious to see how it will evolve as a model when the metaverse is here. By the way, I have made a video capturing how our life would look like in the metaverse and what would be its impact. To learn more about brands and business stories, case studies, insights and resources like this, please make sure to subscribe to Alphause. You may also leave a comment saying I subscribed below. After subscribing, I want to respond to each and every one of those comments. We also request you to like this episode to make the YouTube algorithm gods happy and you have found your people as we cover free and new business stories and insights specifically for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, content creators, small and medium business owners, students and anybody else who is still hustling and dreaming. Check out this video. I have also linked the business case study playlist. Make sure to watch that post the metaverse episode. This is Anuj from Alphause. See you in the next episode. Until then, peace out.